Today we have a Porsche 993 TipTronic speedometer. A 993 TipTronic speedometer has an odometer reading up here. It does not have a trip meter in its place. It has the PRND 321 here, so it's a gear selector indicator. And I'll show you what's behind that here in a second and why there's no room for a trip meter. This also will serve as a video as to how the speedometer needle and how the odometer numbers are on two different motors. Right now, I have this hooked up. I've got, my screwdriver underneath here is just a plastic insulator. I've got an 8-volt signal going into my signal channel. And then I have just B plus and minus going into the other two channels. I'm going to send it an 8-volt square wave signal, which is going to just basically mimic the left rear, the left front wheel speed trigger wheel, and also the sensor that's sending a signal to the speedometer when it's in the car. We have this set up on a square wave. I'm going to push play, and we're now sending 100 hertz at 8 volts to here. And what I wanted to show you, right now I have the odometer motor disconnected and cocked off to the side. You can see this little tiny gear wheel inside here. This is the gear that commonly fails. Here's the old one. It's got a broken tooth down over here, and then they always freeze up. So if I try to spin this guy, it's frozen. You got to usually put a lot of force into it. Now then that's finally turning. Kind of turns into wax and melts onto itself. So this is the new gear that is now spinning on the odometer motor. That white plastic gear operates this black gear right here. And then this is what makes the odometer spin. On the same signal path, we have the movement motor, which what I'll do is I'll turn it on and off so you can see what's happening and how it's connected to the needle. So you'll see the needle and the movement both swing at the same time. What's happening here is you can see the movement that's underneath the odometer down there. You can see that move, and that is directly connected to the axle. Here, I'll disconnect the axle here. Let me turn it off. The speedometer needle. And then the movement axle is right here. That's what you want to be really careful with. All I'm doing to just show you all this, how it works, is I'm just setting it on here gently. And then that way when I turn it, it's just showing you the axle is turning along with the movement. At the same time, the odometer motor starts to turn, and that's when you see the gear for the odometer motor starting to turn. This is why the speedometer will continue to work and the odometer fails to work. So it uses the same signal path. If one of those two works, then you know you're getting a signal from the car. It's either a gear or a bad capacitor on the board is what usually is the good. Your 99% is it's a gear or it's a capacitor. And I just wanted to show you the two different motors, the two different pieces of electronics that actually mechanically turn on this device. To get TipTronic specific, right here is all our LED indicators, and those go right in line with our park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1, etc. What gear is selected. So when the gear is selected, the light turns on, and then you know what gear you put the car in. That is in place of a trip meter. There's actually a lot of stuff going on inside underneath here instead of a trip meter. The 993 and the 964 both use the same speedometer, motor, gear. All that stuff is the same. It just doesn't use a trip meter. We installed the odometer drive motor back onto the case, and I just pushed play here. And so right now you can see that the black gear is actually turning. And that white plastic gear is driving this black plastic gear right here, and the number will eventually advance. I could speed it up real quick. I could go to 200 hertz. The car just starts going a lot faster. And there you go. It's clicking over. So we have verified that it works. And that's it. The inside of a 993 speedometer. And with just one single input, operating the two different motors. One is the speedometer needle and one is the odometer advancing motor. If you have any questions or if you want to send me a speedometer and have it repaired, you can do that. There's a link right here. Send it in.